Here we go. It didn't happen. Hey, what's going on, guys? It didn't seem to work on the Instagram, but not sure what happened, but I was trying to get Instagram set up and it didn't seem to go on. I don't know what happened there. Okay, what's going on, guys? Welcome to Touch Base Daily. I see you, and I know you see me. And today it was just a water cooler talk day. There's a lot to talk about, but definitely I want to talk about due process and what's going on with the Garcia gentleman that has been detained, or I should say, held captive in El Salvador. So we'll be talking about that, and then we'll expand our conversation. But let me get this Instagram page right, because somehow it did not take. I don't know what happened. So let's try it again. Let's try it again. And while that is happening, I am also on TikTok this morning. So the TikTokers are seeing me as well. So there's a whole lot going on this morning, trying to get all these little panels working properly. Okay, let's see what happened to Instagram that it did not take. And it says you are live. Okay, well, maybe I am live on TikTok. I mean, on Instagram. Okay, it says I'm live there. Oh, once you, okay. Don't see it. Don't see it on the screen. Okay, well, we're just going to just take it and trust that I'm there. Let me see here. Let me try it again. But guys, how are you? What are you up to? What are you up to on this hump day, Wednesday? Hump day is here. What are you up to today? And let me see. I see some great people in. I'm going to just remove that. Hold on a second. Bear with me, y'all. Bear with me. Let me try this again. Same changes. Okay, let's try Instagram. Oh, it's not going to work. Okay, it's not going to work. Oh, okay, there we go. Man, I just wish one day when Instagram will just have like everybody else just click and put it in the thing and you can just pop one. Okay, maybe it'll work this time. Maybe the Instagrammers will work. Because the Instagrammers, first people come through Instagram and then they come onto our platform. Okay, there we are. I see you on Instagram now. There we go. So that is all set up. So here we go. Let's see who's in the building. Ooh, the first person in the building is Mr. B. Brian Young Creative is in the building. He says, Happy Wednesday, family. And in second, the silver goes to our wonderful Hannah. She says, Good morning, Ron and Touch Base Daily family. And then she sends some greetings. And then third, the bronze goes to Jazzy Jazz. She says, Good morning, beautiful people. Then we got the wonderful GR Houston Jack. She's in the building. Good morning, all, she says. And yes, I see here. Yeah, Ron is here. We are here. Anthony's in the building. Anthony's early today. Anthony is in the building. And Adrian says, IG is not live for your information. So, and now we are. So what's going on? Adrian's in the building. He says, You're good now. And Elise is in the building. So good morning. She says, Good morning, Ron and everyone. And so we're here. We are here. And so let me take you first. Let me just set this up. I want to share with you several things that are going on, but let me also take this time to flip my camera over in the TikTok world. So the TikTokers are now looking at me on the screen versus looking at me and just hearing part of it, what's going on. So they can hear my voice and then they can see you, but they won't absolutely be able to hear some of you and you're on the panel discussion. We got to figure this out with TikTok, but at least they'll see. Okay, let's go to a place that I want to take you. And that is, we're going to go through a couple of IG saves that I made. And on the topic that we're going to start off with this morning. And because this is very crucial, very important. And many are saying, are we in a crisis? And we are definitely in a crisis. So anyway, what is going on with StreamYard? StreamYard's a little off today. What is happening? Okay. What is that? Let me see. Remove from something's not right with StreamYard today. That's the problem. Remove from stage. Okay, let's try that again. Okay. Okay. I don't know why it's doing that. Okay, we're on the wrong one, maybe. Okay, maybe it's not that. It's me. It's me. It's me, not StreamYard. Anyway, while I'm doing this, let me bring on Gwendolyn. Gwendolyn can keep you company as I figure out all this technical stuff. What's up, Gwendolyn?
I'm trying to find out what nice thing to say about you and your technical stuff.
Well, hello. I'm here solo. Once I can afford a producer, then we'll be fine. But as this is all you have. This is all you have is me right now. That's all you have.
Now I could give the crowd an insight, like an inside look into the multiple conversations I've had with you about getting your shit together before you go live. I can do that, but I'm not gonna do it, Mr. Foster. I'm not gonna do it.
Auntie, Adrian says auntie.
So I mean, like, okay, so Ron is not a Virgo. If you want things to go well in your life, get yourself a Virgo, get a couple of Virgos. We're gonna get you hooked up. I could easily have done some of this stuff for you, but well, what?
You want to become a producer? You would like to be a producer? I didn't know you want to be a producer.
Gwendolyn does not. Well, we can't even have that conversation today.
Okay.
But I am multifaceted. Like I have a number of skills. I got skills over here.
This is very true.
But just in regards to getting things planned, knowing that in my past life, I had to plan my paid time off a year in advance. I had to plan my team's paid time off 6 months out. I work in the future. So we do stuff to get stuff done so that we never have to worry about getting ready.
Yeah. Well, no, I was all set, but somehow I was on the wrong. I had two Instagram pages open.
I could have told you that.
Yeah. Well, I didn't know it. I can't. I'm not as technically, even though I love technology and I am slow to technology, I am not as savvy as some people in the room. Just saying. But I still get it done. I still get it done. And with the resources that I have, yes. So I'm using my resources to let people know. So you just get out there. Just do it. It'll all work out. It will all work out.
If I may, truly, honestly, and I've done it for you. If you have a community of people who really want to see you succeed, they will have no issues donating their time to you for a project or two. I know I have done it. I talk about co-working hours. We come together, we work it, we get it done, and then everybody thrives. So it's not a fake thing. This is real. But let me let you play your video and we can get into our things.
There we go. Here we go, y'all. Here we go. So we're going to start with, it's going to be a series of videos because this is on the same topic. Okay, so let's start with our wonderful Tori. Do you know Tori is one of my neighbors? Yeah. This Tori is one of my neighbors.
The devil will say when these two get to hell, when they come to talk about what they did to Kilmar Garcia. This is an absolute nightmare. You snatched him, you kidnapped him, you human trafficked him, you are illegally incarcerating him, and now you are sitting in front of the world and laughing about it and pretending there's nothing you can do about it. This is disgusting. This is a real tragedy that this man's life has been ruined. His family's life has been destroyed, and these two. And Trump wants you to know this could happen to any of us. This could happen to any American citizen. He is a partner in El Salvador who will imprison anyone. They don't care. Any American, even a citizen, can be disappeared now. These two soulless people.
The White House today indicated that it will defy a U.S. Supreme Court order to facilitate the return of a man who was mistakenly deported to another country. In a meeting in the Oval Office, the president of El Salvador said he would not return the Maryland man who was sent to his country.
How can I return him to the United States? Like I smuggle him into the United States? Or
Smuggling is the illegal movement of goods. This is not smuggling because it's not illegal. It's in compliance with federal court orders. Then he says he's a terrorist.
How can I smuggle a terrorist into the United States?
But there's no evidence to support this accusation. But Marco Rubio claims
he was illegally in the United States and was returned.
Not true. Kilmar Armando Abrego Garcia was legally in the U.S., has been living here for a decade, and has never been charged with a crime. Even the Trump administration admits he was illegally deported because of an administrative error. But even if he were a gang member, there is a legal process for removal. The president can't just declare you an enemy of the state and get rid of you without a hearing to present evidence to a court.
And no court in the United States has a right to conduct the foreign policy of the United States.
Think about what this means. The White House is saying the federal government can pick up the wrong man off the street, send him to another country, and then do nothing to get him back. And even when courts do intercede, the White House secretly flies planes to El Salvador and pretends they didn't get the memo from the judge, or the judge's orders weren't clear, or they weren't written down so they don't count. Oopsie, said the president of El Salvador when this happened just last month. They pulled this stunt with a gay makeup artist and a professional soccer player, and they're trying to do the same thing with college students too. Last week, a unanimous Supreme Court ordered Trump to facilitate Garcia's return. Not only has Trump refused to comply with the court orders, but he claims he has no leverage to influence El Salvador. At the same time, he's sitting with the president of El Salvador in the Oval Office of the White House. You can't tell me the U.S. government has no influence over El Salvador when Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem is doing prison porn photo ops in the facility where these people are being held. El Salvador is a poor country, and the U.S. is paying them $20,000 per person to jail each immigrant that Trump sends to them. If Trump wanted to put pressure on them, he could cancel the check, stop sending them migrants, or cancel the White House meeting. Or Trump could have imposed new tariffs on El Salvador, like he did with the tiny black country Lesotho in Africa, or like he did on the evil penguins who inhabit the herd in McDonald Island. Just last week, civil rights attorney Sherilyn Ifill warned that Trump's next move is to remove American citizens to foreign prisons. As Justice Sonia Sotomayor warned, the implication of the government's position is that not only non-citizens, but also United States citizens can be taken off the streets, forced into planes, and confined to foreign prisons with no opportunity for redress. And right on schedule, Trump told El Salvador's president that he needs them to build 5 more prisons for what he calls homegrowns. That is, American citizens. If you've studied Hitler's rise to power and thought it could never happen here, you're wrong. This is what happened in 1930s Germany when Nazis demonized social outcasts and weak people capitulated to the suffering of others. We all know the story. First, they came for the socialists, and I did not speak out because I was not a socialist. And we know how it ends. Eventually, they will come for you, and there will be no one left to speak. This is not a drill, folks. This is dictatorship.
And there you have it. There we go. And this is where we are, and this is about due process. It's about not just taking this dude, Garcia, and putting him into this, which I'm going to show you clippings of what this place looked like in a little bit as well. But it is, to my belief, that Garcia and the other gentleman who was I think hairdresser, I think they've been unalived.
It's a good chance.
I don't think they're alive. And this is the reason. I wonder, when you think about that, the Supreme Court, all 9 justices said this guy needs to come home, and that this would be the hill that Trump dies on. Well, he will fight to die on. I mean, there's other bigger hills, but there has to be a major reason other than, I don't think he's alive. They can't bring him home. And they're trying to do everything to distract, everything to, make this the hill that they die on. Or, what do you think, Gordon? I'm going to bring Elise on as you talk.
Well, Okay, so let's just go with the fact that they made a mistake. When
Yes.
you make a mistake, if the whole idea is to instill fear in people and to push an agenda, you cannot go back and fix a mistake. You can acknowledge it, but it's like, it's gone too far. So even if I don't believe he's still with us. That's just me. But even if he was, they have no incentive to do it, because if you can make this mistake and correct it with one, that means everything else in the future that they do can be corrected. That's not what they want to do. There's no reason for them to even attempt to follow those rules. So this is the hill he's going to die on, not because that young man is probably in a bad ways, but because there's just no incentive to do it. This is I'm going to keep pushing the barriers, the borders, all the things until I knock it over the cliff. This is where we are. And I don't want it to come across as if there's no care and concern, because the people who knew about this, when we were talking about like we're trying to preserve democracy, we did our job. It sounds like there's no care and concern, but this is the place where a bitch is going to have to burn down. Somebody's loved one is going to have to get snatched up and sent over, and not just one, a number of someones are going to have to be impacted before somebody in the Congress or whatever says, you know what, it's gone too far, because it hasn't gone too far. If you look at the entire picture, and we know what Project 2025 is, the entire picture is to dismantle everything so that you can create a class of people that are undereducated, who are just trying to get by and will do whatever to survive. I mean, look at Florida. We talked about child labor laws, rolling them back. A number of states have rolled back child labor laws. This has been in play for, I don't know, maybe 2 years before he got into office. Speechless. I'm speechless. There you go.
And that's hard to do.
It is hard to do.
Yeah. Hey, Elise is in the building.
Good morning.
Good morning, Elise. What's going on?
Look, all of the things that you all have been talking about, unfortunately. So, there are a couple of things to look at. One is, of course, there's a possibility he may not be alive. And hopefully the senator from Maryland, Senator Van Hollen, will find out something. I don't know if, another part, will they even let him stay in the country long enough to talk to anyone? Because they can not let him be there, right?
True.
The other part is, this is a showdown between the branches of government.
Yes.
The judicial system, the highest court in the land has said 9-0, you need to facilitate bringing him back. Well, I don't have to listen to you. This is where the lawlessness comes in. This is where the judicial system has no power over him. He will actually, and as we can see, the legislative branch has already acquiesced because those Republicans aren't doing anything.
Exactly.
So he would then become the ultimate authoritarian, right? He'd have the ultimate rule, because I can defy the courts, and who's going to check me? Who's going to do anything? So I think that's why it would be the hill he'd die on, because they want to say the courts. Even when you heard Rubio say that in that room, in that video, the courts don't have the right to intervene. Of course they do. That's why we have checks and balances. That's why we have 3 branches of government. Because
3 branches.
When one goes left, somebody needs to reel them back in. That other one needs to speak up. And so this is what it is. But at the end of the day, also the court created this monster.
Yes.
The court said he was immune. The court allowed him to run for president. So the court has been complicit in getting us to this point. Now he's saying, I don't have to listen to you, because you gave me the right to do any and everything. If I say it, I'm doing it as the president of this country, right?
Yes.
So I think that's a part of the bigger picture that people aren't focusing on. Is that the ultimate goal is that he has ultimate power. His office has ultimate power. And of course, he's supported by the Steve Bannons, the Stephen Millers. All of these people are the ones who want this to be the case. All of those are the people. And that's the part that we have to actually look at. All of those pieces. It doesn't matter. And as they say, some people are finding out because they're supporters and they come across the border and they can't get back in because you got a foreign last name. We don't care who you are.
That's right.
Who you are. We don't care.
Or you look a certain way.
Yeah, so you look a certain way. So you gonna try, when you try to cross the border from Canada to America. It doesn't matter that you went from America to Canada. The fact is, we look at your name, look at who you are, and we're gonna hold you for 5 hours and give the Grand Inquisition, right?
Mm-hmm.
And tell you we want to see all of your emails. So all of this to say that to pay close attention to the intention. First of all, they pay $20,000 a person to house these people. If you're paying that much for a person, you have the right to ask for that person back.
Exactly.
Because you put them there. You kidnapped them and put them there. And the fact that he said you need to build 5 more of these facilities for the native grown. So that's the American citizens. They're gonna send you to these places and put you in there. And as I said yesterday, understanding this is supermax. You're not going to send the military down there and just break into this prison and get someone out.
That's right.
And the unfortunate part is what as we sat and heard those reporters chuckling in there, those hand-picked reporters, this man continuously called him a terrorist, which he is not. He's never been accused of anything. I can't return a terrorist. I can't sneak a terrorist into the country. I wouldn't release a terrorist in my country. He's not a terrorist.
That's right.
He's been terrorized or has been terrorized. And you do have to be concerned about him and the young man that I think the makeup artist, I think, was out of New York. You have to be concerned about those people.
Yes.
Because they are not the only ones who've been sent down there illegally and placed in this prison.
Yeah.
It's just inhumane. It's just what we have to be conscious of is that he now says, I can defy any court because I have defied the highest court.
Well, let's go for the next couple of videos because this is so important. And I think Americans need to be, we always say you should be writing your senators. You should be writing your congressmen. You need to write. I did not know we're going to do this at the end. You could also write to the Supreme Court. I did not know that. And talk about this subject. So
before you play your next video, because I'm seeing Jazzy's comments, and she has a really great. It's a great question, and hear me clearly. So I'm going to ask for some grace here. At what point does the writing and the calling not make it? And I'm gonna talk this out because sometimes I got to talk it out.
Mm-hmm.
I get it. We do our calls. We are doing what needs to be done.
Yes.
And I'm going to say it again for those of us who did our part, is like, this is a point where someone is going to get hurt. We have a place where our Congress people need to be inconvenienced. I don't know how far they're going to go. Like, some of them are like, well, we're in the minority, so we can't do too much. I need you to get arrested. I need you to get arrested, get into some good trouble, do something, because just doing what is
convenient,
I'm going to say appropriate, doesn't seem to be making the mark, right? And as long as you have certain people who are talking heads for this administration, who are telling folks that they're brainwashed and all this whatnot, is like, I get that we want to be aware. I'm fully aware of it. I give myself so much time to it because I'm protecting my peace.
Yes.
But what's the real next step? Now, for me, I believe in, I can only control what I can control. I cannot control what's going on there because they put that asshole in the White House. So what Gwendolyn does is she looks to do what she can do in her community. That's what I do. I get busy here. There are still elections happening for other things on a local level that needs to be taken care of. So I'm asking, like, what is the next thing? Because we can do the writing, we can do that, but it's the same people who all agree to put him in this position. In my head, those same people need to gather together and get their man in order.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean that's what needs to happen. Even if say Democratic politicians started being arrested, right? If they start protesting to the point of being arrested, the truth of the matter is, on Capitol Hill,
yes,
that group of people, the Republicans that are there, are just doing whatever, right? You have the House that there's a piece of legislation they passed to to lessen the power of judges.
Yes.
You haven't had a judge give ICE the right to go into places of worship.
Yeah.
He ruled they can go in places of worship. So the ones that the problem is we have no checks and balances anymore.
The checks and balances are broken right now
because they have effectively from the Federalist Foundation to the Heritage, from the Federalist
Heritage Society
to the Federalist Society to the Heritage Foundation.
Yes.
They have effectively bought and positioned people in place where your fight has to be, until we can get media, and of course they've actually placed people in media to suppress certain things, right?
Yes.
Until you can figure out how to circumvent all those systems to make sure that people hear it. And it's going to have to be more of things like the guy who was trying to get back from Canada, who was a Trump supporter and who voted for him and thought it was going to be better. Has to be more of them than anything else. It has to be, just like Gwendolyn said, it has to be the people who put him in here. And I said that months ago. It has to be the people who put them in there. And the majority of those people don't look like us. Those people who put him in there don't look like us. And and they are trying to figure out how to pick and poke at us to see if they can get us back in the streets.
Yeah.
We have to do what Gwendolyn has said, and as a group that I was talking with last night on Kenny's on the TKBS thing, we have to keep figuring out how we work within our community. How do we strengthen that? Because that's where our safety is going to be. That's where our strength has to come from. But at the same time, as Jazzy was saying, we can write letters and make calls all day long.
Mm-hmm.
We can call Susan Collins. If she doesn't say anything, it doesn't matter. Or I don't remember the old white senator who was at a meeting with his people and could look like he could barely hear.
I think it's like 90.
In Iowa.
Yes, he could barely hear. But
in Iowa,
they're asking him questions, and he's of course lying.
Yes,
because he doesn't know what else to do but to lie. Because you're sitting there saying, oh, yeah, I care about this. I care about this. And my question for everybody that posted that video, and I wish they stopped posting these people, but everybody that posted that video, my statement was this. Why are you asking him anything? He votes with all of them. He votes to support everything. Those Republicans are voting as a unit. He is voting and he's lying. If he says he cares about these people, he's not showing it by his vote. So that's where we are now. And how we choose to use our energy is going to be very important.
Let me show the video. And this is, again, Tori is sharing. And Tori's been he's just been on every day. It's like all day, every day. But definitely want to show you Tori. And then we're going to go into some more video presentations from on the Instagram, on the gram. The gram has been doing good on this with these stories. Here we go.
Extermination camp, but they do the exterminations more slowly. Crystal Ball made a video about it where she quoted an article that said this was a place to dispose of people without formally applying the death penalty. Prisoners in there have no recreation, no education, no visits, nothing to do. They're just waiting to die. And some people think that they actually incinerate people in there. There's a crazy deep dive by Total Hypocrisy that looks at whether or not there are actually incineration centers on site. El Salvador says once you go into CCOT, you don't come out. No one comes out of there. Sounds like an extermination camp to me. This is surely one way to deal with a gang problem, but we are sending people there who have had no due process, who are not even criminals at all. Surely that's wrong. I mean, the place is so harsh, I think we can make a case that this is too harsh for even the crimes that we're talking about. However, this is completely insane to send people who have not been convicted of anything to any place, much less an extermination camp. We are sending unconvicted people to extermination camps. If that doesn't frighten you, you don't have a soul. The place that Trump sent Kilmar Garcia to is basically an extermination.
Wake-up call. You really think they Trump says he wants to deport homegrown American criminals. In an interview on Tuesday, the president said he would love to deport American criminals to be imprisoned in El Salvador. He defined homegrown criminals as, quote, the ones that grew up and something went wrong and they hit people over the head with a baseball bat and push people into the subways just before the train gets there, like you see happen sometimes. Experts say there's no legal pathway to deport a U.S.-born citizen. Read more at Forbes.com. Trump says he wants to deport homegrown American criminals. In an interview on Tuesday, the president
And the place is, again, no one has ever come out of this place.
It's a death camp.
It's a death camp.
Just like you said, it's a death camp. I mean, if you go back, I guess I won't say if it was a privilege or not, but when I was in high school, we were shown the videos of the death camps in Nazi Germany.
Yes.
In one of my history classes. We were shown how they were pushing the bodies, the remains of the people into pits. These were actual videos that they took.
Mm-hmm.
We were shown the experimentation they were doing on people. These are actual videos that they took. I don't know. I had a black history teacher, a black woman history teacher, who I don't know if that was a part of the state curriculum or not, but she showed us those things. And as you look at those videos, they position the people, took these pictures, and that's how they're showing these people, right? Right now it's gotten to the point, even if you come into this country with certain tattoos, they're harassing you or arresting you in order or turning you around and sending you back. So a lot of these people have merely been sent to this place because they had a tattoo. They're just who they are. Like there's no evidence of any criminal, anything criminal, nothing illegal, but they've sent them down there. And as they're telling you, can't get them back.
Can't get them back. And the reason I do believe also another reason why these people never come out, one is I do believe they're being exterminated. And because of the dictator that's in charge of El Salvador. He is a dictator. He likes to consider himself the great dictator.
Right. And he's not
the cool dictator, he calls himself.
Because he's not that old.
Yeah, because he's young. And there's a reason why people don't come out. Obviously, I do believe it's an extermination camp. And there's another gentleman who sees they retrieved video satellite imaging of sections of this camp where there's nothing but like they think is a trail of just blood just is in the back of this camp, and like another area that's like could be a slaughterhouse, and
or they're doing they're having entertainment with the people that are in there by having them unalive each other.
That's right.
We don't say kill. That would be entertainment for the people who are containing them, because you have to have some kind of something has to be in you to be able to even work in those facilities like that.
Yes. So we have Dr. Tachi and we have Brian on board. Dr. Tachi, what do you think about this subject? You're the journalist among us, and I mean, what's going on in this? The main focus, I do believe, is the due process of it all. But what do you think?
Well, I'm wondering what's taking so long for economic sanctions. What for El Salvador and for the U.S., because El Salvador is just as culpable in all of this. And the interesting thing is, generally when you have either a military regime or dictatorship or an autocrat in office, they're not trying to be friends with the US, right?
Yeah.
They're not trying to be, they're like, forget you all. They don't care. So it's very interesting how this whole thing of, oh, we'll take your prisoners because of the desire to be American adjacent or non-melanated adjacent. The desire is, and this is why self-hatred is such a terrible thing. You hate yourself so much that you would do anything to be adjacent to the United States, or more so adjacent to those that are in power, the non-melanated folks. So it's really interesting when you look at that whole thing. So I'm wondering, so what's taking so long for sanctions? I think because it's the US and because of the history of the US, people are like, oh, well, let's wait and see, because we're not your friends. The US is not your friend. The US you knew is not the US anymore. So you cannot. What's the thing that Fat Joe says? Yesterday's price is not today's price. This is not the U.S. of yesterday, so you cannot operate using those rules. You've got somebody very dangerous or people, not even people that are very dangerous and stupid, because stupidity and evil are very dangerous. So you've got these people in charge. It's not the same, even though we could say there are, this is not new. At least people that were this evil respected the letter of law. Now they don't.
I agree. I'm. That is a good question. Why hasn't France, UK, Germany, Japan say, you know what, we want sanctions? Where's the UN in all of this?
Yes.
Why hasn't the UN say, we want to put sanctions against the United States of America for their actions and been participating in this brutal regime of dictatorship with and connecting with El Salvador?
If it was an African country, they would have been quick to do it.
Yes. Or anywhere else. Anywhere else.
Absolutely. Yeah. But I'm saying particularly with African countries.
Yes.
Because there's this dehumanizing that goes on when it comes to African countries. So had it been an African country leveling all of this against the world, they would have been quick to send in troops and economic sanctions. In fact, it wouldn't have started with economic sanctions. They would have started with force.
Yes.
Right. Absolutely. But, he's also threatened to put the UN out of the US.
Yeah, that's true too. Hey,
We're
Brian.
used to them now anyway.
Brian is in the building.
Right.
Brian, what are your thoughts? Welcome back, first of all. We haven't seen you on the panel in a while. It's good to see you. But what do you think on this subject? And what do you think?
Well, the optimist in me hopes that he's still alive. Because words matter and words have weight. But if they can do this if they could do this to him, they could do this truly to anyone in this country, whether you are a U.S. citizen here legally on a student visa, work visa, green card. I just had this is deja vu to me, because I literally just had this conversation earlier this morning with a family member. But one of the things that stands out to me is the narrative that is moving, where this orange regime admitted they made a mistake. They admitted they made a mistake. To go from that to this El Salvadorian president who is a dictator, who is an authoritarian, him and the other mouthpieces of this orange glowworm going from we made a mistake, admitting it, to constantly saying he's a terrorist. It brings to mind a similarity of during the election season before President Biden stepped down, how the false narrative kept going of he's too old, he's blah, blah, blah. And I've shared when I was on here, after I saw him face to face after that debate, how that narrative was false. And so you say a lie enough times, people slowly start to believe it. And that's one of many that concerns me, is that we're watching in real time. If we're not careful, we're watching the narrative. They're right, wrong, or indifferent. These mofos they have a master class in lying.
Oh, they're master liars.
But he was here legally. They made a mistake, and to go from that to constantly and consistently saying that, well, he's a terrorist, and you have this El Salvadorian dictator saying it. He has a monetary interest. We're paying that country, and if I'm not mistaken, I just learned this. We're paying them $240 for each.
No, 22,000 people.
22,000. Okay.
22,000 people.
We paid up $6 million so far.
Yes.
I'll double check where I got my information from. I'll just say I got my information from someone who works in a government adjacent capacity. But simply put, like, dude, why this matters? I've heard some clapback of, well, what about all the wrongly accused in our country? Why aren't you being as vocal? I'm like, well,
that's the point. I do believe, and not to cut you off, but that's what's good about, if there's any good that may come out of this, is that it is making people more aware of. I don't think most Americans don't understand due process. They don't understand their rights. They don't understand that there are processes in through our Constitution and that they have rights. Many Americans don't know their rights. It's not taught it's not taught in school. There's no civic classes. Most people don't know unless you've been in a family that said, hey, this is what your rights are, or you're curious and you go online and you research, or you go to, most people don't know. So what's happening here, hopefully, by people continually saying and remembering to mention over and over, is not just about these two guys or the three people. It's about due process. And due process affects all of us. Every single person in America has the right to be presumed innocent until proven guilty. And there's a process to do that. We have what's called a court system. The court system, if you are also accused by the lower court, then you can go and appeal it. There's a process. Before you can ship someone out without due process, without any court hearing, with just taking someone off the street, it goes against the Constitution. And that's the whole crux of the problem and of the situation, is that this is not just about these individuals. This is about due process, and for every American citizen and those that are immigrants that are here legally, their due process is in danger as well.
Can I add to that? Because I just read this yesterday, a section out of the Constitution. When it comes to due process, it states persons in the United States.
Persons.
So
that's right.
Even if you are here illegally, if you are on U.S. soil, you are afforded due process.
True. That's right.
So it's in the Constitution, but it's
in there. It's in there, right?
Yeah.
However, when you have a system of checks and balances that's not functioning,
yes,
they're going to abuse it. And
yes,
he can use what they said when they allowed him to run for the president again. This is for the betterment of the country. Whether it's a criminal offense or not that I'm committing, you told me I could do some of this stuff. And as we think about it, Brian, when people talk to you about American citizens and the ones who have been falsely accused, they have due process. And the difference is that man, Garcia, is in a foreign country where no lawyer has access to him. No one can come in and check on his well-being. If you're here, people can advocate for you. They can keep fighting for you, and they can check on your well-being. There's some things that people do and there are organizations that have been formed to specifically work on cases to help people get out of those situations, right? And some of them, they don't get what they deserve, which is to get out. But they've also pushed back on things like one of the things that happened with a lot of Black people who didn't have money. They were merely caught up in being in jail because they couldn't post bail.
Yeah.
And so they actually implemented some laws so that wouldn't be the case. So they wouldn't be so harsh for those people. So we had those things in place. But right now, these people, and I tell you, and I believe this with all my heart, this is the ultimate case when you can defy all 9 Supreme Court justices of this country and get away with it.
Yes.
This is the ultimate test on what he can get away with you and I.
And how
I 100% agree. And the thing is, all of this only worked. Anything only works because people agree to it. Yes. Our money only has value because we've all agreed that $1 equals X amount.
Yes.
Or any currency in the world, right? Right. So what we need to look at and discover or know is that it's really a small contingency of people that are doing all of this, but are held up by stupid people.
Yes.
And people who somehow think they will benefit from siding with this. If you have enough people that disagree with it, you think all 9 justices, this is what I'm like, and you all sat there and took it? This is the thing. It's like you all are giving him power to do things. It's a small contingent and a smaller contingent than we possibly think. And, the thing that gets me is going back to these corporations that are complying, privately owned corporations now that are complying with the edicts from Milan, from Tang. You're doing this. And number one, they never said that you had to do it. And initially, they didn't come out and say you have to do this. Now they're doing it. But I'm like, okay, you're a company. What are you scared of? All of these big, bad companies that constitute trillions. What are you scared of? So to me, it looks like there's a bigger picture here than what we actually know, because it's this many people causing this much havoc, and it doesn't have to be like that.
But isn't that always the case? I mean, again, when you look back at Hitler, 1930, the folks that it wasn't the majority. Again, the majority did not vote for Hitler. It was the minority that put him into office. I mean, not say office, but gave him the power to become the chancellor. Yeah. It was the minority that gave him the power. It wasn't the majority, but the majority stood by and let it happen. They did nothing. They did not. Really, it was, again, like we get this saying, they went for the socialists. But they didn't come. And then after they got rid of all the socialists, all the people that were the marginalized people of the society, then they came for me.
That's the thing. These people that are standing idly by have never been required to do anything. They've never had to do anything in this country, in this society, to stand up for things to be right, because they were always right for them. Right. It's those of us that things have not been right for that have had to fight. And you're exactly right. So then once those people are gone, then who do they come for? Because their goal is ultimate power, and they're going to end up like Homer Simpson and the monkeys in the temple. If you remember that episode.
I don't know that episode, but go share it.
I trust you.
Oh, Simpsons.
Watch it. I'm a huge Simpsons fan. There was an
Yes.
episode where Homer was trying to become one of the stone grinders or whatever their Masonic thing was, and he ended up getting in, but he alienated everybody so much that everybody left the lodge, and all that was him were there, and he got some monkeys to be part of the thing. So it was just him and the monkeys. Eventually, it will just be him and the monkeys.
But again, I think, and maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm wrong that maybe the justices made the light bulb has gone on. Maybe because you would think. I mean, think about. I do believe half of the Supreme Court has went to Harvard, and we'll close out on Harvard, right? I think half of them have gone to Harvard. Most of the presidents of the United States have gone to Harvard. So this is not, I mean, they've gotten a good education on history, even though I always say.
But did they?
Before you go there, I always say
that's an assumption.
It doesn't matter what college you go to, because the same story of history that you learn in Harvard is the same thing you can learn right here in New York City, University, or New York City State College, or go to any college. It could be your community college. The history is still the same.
I'm gonna stop you right there. I want you to be real specific, because I'm pushing this even in my household. Any PWI school, predominantly white institutions. Because if you go to Spelman, Morehouse, and Howard, you're gonna learn some more history.
That's right.
It's not going to be the exact same history. So I'm pushing everybody to be real clear. When we don't just say colleges and universities, you say predominantly white colleges and universities, because that's what we're talking about specifically.
Yes. Thank you for the clarity.
You can learn some other things. I went to UDC. I went to Howard. You can learn some other history. You can learn some other histories that you
learn it also. Yeah. So okay. So, but I'm talking about when I'm using the comparison of the Ivy Leagues.
But I want
so that'd be white. That would be a white college.
I will push white, predominantly white institutions. I want to push that. I want people to be real clear and very nuanced when we say we can don't say just men. Be specific, because what we do is empower them to be unclassified. Empower them to get away with what they've always gotten away with, where they don't have to feel the same pressure and pain as everyone else. Be real specific when you call them out.
Yeah.
May I? So to this point of, and I know that we're not necessarily going down this trajectory, but I suspect we will when it comes to Harvard. First of all, when I speak about higher education, I'm speaking someone obviously who has been a college student, but I'm also speaking as somebody who has been a professor at PWIs, HBCUs, and Hispanic serving institutions and community colleges. So I have a very good grasp of what's what. So, and the PWIs, I was at George Washington University. Okay, that's not a slouch of a university. So none of the universities I was at were slouches of universities, but there's so much of given to Harvard and Yale at their colleges and universities, just like any other. It's like Louis Vuitton and Prada. Saying, this is what we're having the thing with China now. The saying, you think it's all high and faluting and mighty, but it's made in China on those same assembly lines that make the non-name. Okay, so all you have to do is look. They told everybody. So coming from the inside, I mean, I've taught. Yeah, I've had some brilliant students, but let me tell you, I will put my students from HBCUs up against them any day, and they would swim circles around them because they're used to making a way out of no way. So I think we need to stop ascribing. This is not to say that Ivy Leagues are not good schools, but they're not what they appear to be. They're not as great as they think. And other people say they are. This is why it gets me. And no disrespect if any of you have this in the comment section, but I don't care. I say what the hell I like. There's so many people that are so like, oh, I just got a business certificate from the Harvard business, and so you weren't enrolled in Harvard, you got a certificate, and that's nice. But they put so much weight on that, even more than where they may have gone to school initially because of the name. My friends, it's just a name.
It's just the name. And that's my point. It's just the name. It's a branding. Harvard, and if the same history lesson that you get as in the George Washington crossing the Delaware River is the same history in both, whatever school you get it from. Or if you get it from no school at all, you go online, it's the same history. But what I'm saying is that these people are educated people, as society would subscribe. And I think maybe this is just a thought, I'm throwing it out there. Do you think the Supreme Court light bulb has gone on for 9 justices to say, okay, this is wrong? Do you think maybe the judicial system, the SCOTUS light bulb now is beginning to see the danger of Trump? They may have
3 of them
their
already
own,
knew,
because the others knew, the 3 knew, but the others, there was the other 2 that were in the middle that kind of like went wishy-washy back and forth. But now, because people don't understand that when Hitler came to power, there was no need for the judicial system ever again.
Right.
Or any dictator. They get rid of the Supreme Courts of their countries. There's no need for a Supreme Court because justice does not matter. You become a lawless society. The dictator owns and controls everything. So maybe SCOTUS, just throwing it out there, do you think SCOTUS light bulb is coming on?
I think, as I said initially,
yes,
this is the test case where he's defined all 9 of them that would say they are no longer relevant. Now, the only way they can prove to me, and hopefully to everyone else on this listening to this, is when they start voting, when they start ruling, making sense, and not just ruling for him. Once they start ruling in other cases that he's keep pushing up to them, and they rule in the favor of the people and not of a man, then they've changed. Until then, we cannot even assume that they've changed. And the other thing I want to say, and Dr. Tachi touched on this, I went to UDC, and I am a proud University of District of Columbia graduate because it allowed me to be able to have access to GW and Howard and Trinity and all those other places, and to actually get the job that I got and be very well and do very well in that. We give so much power to these named schools, where even in here, when you say that they're well educated, we don't know they're well educated. We know they went to school. We know that part. We know
they had money to get into the school too, right?
Right. They had money to get in that school. They have legacy.
Right?
They had legacy to get into the
legacy.
School, right?
That's what I mean. Legacy.
They had legacy. Some of them were like, this man didn't have great grades at all. When they pulled up his transcript, that he didn't. What he was maybe present, maybe.
Well, how about President Bush? President Bush Jr. Right? He got
in on legacy too.
Yeah, legacy.
And he seed his way through, and so did Ted Kennedy, a lot of people. But my point is how we speak of these schools that gives them the power. How we paint the narrative. If we don't paint the narrative that I got a great education and was able to walk away where I fully paid for that while I was there at UDC because I could afford it.
Yes.
If we don't paint the picture that school can be great no matter what, it's valuable to society that kids go to Stanford and Harvard because we've given Stanford, Harvard, and Yale all the weight. And we disrespected some amazing universities, colleges, and universities on the way. We have. And so I think that's what we have to start saying to our kids. Like, it doesn't mean that you're going to be any better.
Sorry, Ms. Elise, you're doing it now by talking about I went to UDC and XYZ, and I think that's what we have to do. You've seen us from Howard, right?
Yes.
All people have to do is say hello. Yes, I went to Howard.
Yes.
Yeah.
We
just say
my buddies who are Howard graduates are proud Howard graduates.
You can't tell us anything.
Look, all you gotta do is say HU. You gotta say you know.
You know. That's right. You know.
And look, Dr. Tatra, when people come with the real HU, I go through the history. I said, let's get it real straight. Howard University was the university long before Hampton became university in 1980 something. So let's be real. Howard University is the original. So Hampton University was an institute, became a university.
Hampton Institute.
Going,
that's right.
She's going. We done unleashed Elise.
That's our own history.
We done unleashed her.
But because I think that one of the things that we spend so much time doing is giving so much power to white people and white places than we do. And I mean those places and institutions that we've allowed to be who were all male in the beginning. That's and had to shift
white male.
Themselves. Yeah, because in 1974, Harvard was still a male institution with a sister institution called Radcliffe. Mm-hmm. I only know that because my counselor tried to get me to apply there, and I was like, that's too far. But anyway, but they had a sister institution. Most people don't know that still existed in the 1970s before they decided to let's let the girls in. So, but we give all of these people power over us. We pay the white man's ice is still colder to too many of us. And so we have to control our mindset. We have to do something different ourselves. And the way to do that is to be proud of where you came from and who you are, and give credit to other universities other than those ones that people yell out the names of all the time. I don't care where the Supreme Court justices came from. When I used to testify on Capitol Hill, the National PTA, which was mostly white on the board, said, "Wow, when you go up there, you seem fearless." I said, they're men and women just like I do, put their pants on the same way I do, and they just have some bad ideas, and I have my own ideas, and so I just approach it that way. They're no better than I am.
Exactly.
So none of these people are any better than I am. Barack Obama and anybody that went to all these schools not better than you. You gave them the power to be better than you because of how you think about where they went, not really the core of who they are.
Yes. Well, if I may.
Yes. Go ahead, Gwendolyn. Go ahead.
I mean, I will go ahead and say that I was an early decision at NYU. I got accepted to George Washington University, Dartmouth, all the places. But my dad really wanted me to go to NYU because of the Cosby Show, but also because in the world he was working in, that was one of the names that got a lot of recognition, and he wanted his child to be in that spot. And Gwendolyn decided to not stay there, which sent him into a tizzy. Now, I'm from FIT, so SUNY graduates, State University.
I'm a SUNY graduate too.
I'm a Catholic school graduate.
But this is a whole discussion about meritocracy.
Yes.
Yeah. As my husband was telling me yesterday, there's a young man, I'm sorry, as Ms. Lee says, a young white man who wants so badly to have my husband's job, but doesn't have the work ethic to get that job, right? No matter how much he has tried, he just keeps falling short. And so you find these people who look at you and say, you're only at this Ivy League school because you're a woman, you're a person with melanin, or they have to fill some quota, completely forgetting that the person who is getting the leg up is really them.
Yes.
You got in because your mama, your daddy knew somebody.
That's right.
Or your grandpappy went here. I got in because I actually earned this shit. Right. But that whole discussion about meritocracy, we'll have to do that some other day.
Oh, yeah. That's a whole nother subject.
A whole nother thing. It's a whole
another
thing.
Day because
there is in that mindset of, hey, I went here, I belong here. There is this idea that it's owed me because of what I look like. Right. I don't have to work too hard for it. I should just get it because my mom and my daddy said I'm special.
Oh, my mom put money in.
That's that part. But I agree with everybody.
My mom built the West Wing.
What was that?
Exactly.
When kids, when kids with money go to these schools,
yes,
their parents may have, contribute money to the West Wing and say, hey, you know what? This cafeteria was built by such and such the Smith family. So the Smith family, they don't have to be educationally educated or get the grades to get into the school. Their mama built the cafeteria.
But sorry, go ahead, Brian.
Oh, well, to that about these Ivy League schools, one thing that stuck in my mind is that just because somebody, and I guess it's echoing what you guys are saying, but just because somebody went there doesn't mean they're smart. They had access to the same information, what they did with it. And it just, I can't remember what movie I saw this in, but it was like one of those, the world's going to end, nature, blah, blah, blah. But the expert didn't get a lot of credit for saying, hey, we only have X number of days until the snowstorm. And he was telling like one of the president's aides, I know that guy. Yeah, he went to Harvard or whatever, but he was a C+ student. Do you really want to take advice from a C+ student at that, that place? So you have access to the information. What you do with it determines, how smart you are from that Ivy League institute or whatever institute.
Well, so Dr. Tachi, you had something to say.
No, sorry, Jazzy, you were at Morgan when I was a professor there? Were you in the School of Telecommunication? Please tell me. This is wow.
Oh my goodness.
We again 6 degrees of separation, right? We know someone that went to somewhere and knows someone that knew how to do somewhat. But
it never fails.
It never fails, right?
It never fails. My podcast partner, Kevin, always calls me 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon because he'll say something and I'm like, oh, I know such and such. He says, oh, come the hell on. Because I always know somebody that knows somebody. But what the hell was I going to say? That got me. That's really cool. Yeah, it did. Because I was like, what? It was, you were talking right before, was it, what were you saying right before, Brian? Was that you, either Miss Elise or G, that, what were you saying right before that? I'm trying to.
I think it was G. G was before Brian.
Right before Brian. What was the last thing you said?
Who, me?
Okay. Yeah. No, yes, you.
About meritocracy and people being given things, and most white men believe that something is owed to them because they are white.
Yes. So yeah, that I'm still fuzzy as to what I'm gonna say, but you're absolutely right about the whole meritocracy thing. Oh, I remember what I was going to say. That
there it is.
Honestly, if I were non-melanated from money and I got into some place simply because my parents were able to pay the way in, I would be livid that that's the best you think of me, that this is all I can be, that you think I'm that mediocre, that I would be livid. Now, maybe they're not, because maybe they have a different thought process. But as I am now, if that were my case, I would be highly insulted. And honestly, if you're non-melanated and this is what people think about you, you should be highly insulted that this is the best we think you can do.
But let me add one thing to that, Dr. Tachi.
Absolutely.
It should be a non-melanated male. Because if you look at Ohio right now is going through some issues with them jumping on some bandwagon to where you have people saying, young people saying, I don't believe I want to go to a university in Ohio. A lot of young white women are making this comment because it's dawning on them that, yes, you are part of that little deal called diversity and equity and inclusion. Yeah, that includes you. That's you, Becky. You're in that boat. And so now they're thinking, well, I don't know if I want to go to school there because of this. Right? I mean, I was telling Ron, and I think I mentioned it here, they want this all white male army, but the white men, one, young white men, they don't want to serve, and two, they can't even pass the ASFAB. Okay? Yeah. So you have to figure something out. You either lower your requirement because they can't meet the mark, or you keep the people who actually are educated and can get in, like a lot of black men, women, and white women. I don't know.
Right.
That's your choice. Figure it out.
Or you get upset because I passed the ASFAB and they put me in the engineering division and you didn't do as well, and they put you someplace lower than I was. Now you mad, but that's how I qualified, right? Actually, that's what happened with my ASFAB. They said, "Oh, we can put you over here in science and engineering." I was like, "You can't put me in the military." That was a different story. But I think that's the part that we have to like, and I think it's important that we keep reminding the Beckys of the world that you got access because somebody Black put that out there, and you benefited the most from the access. I think she needs to constantly be reminded of that, because that we have to change the narrative.
Yes.
We have to stop letting them use it, and DEI and every affirmative action that always looks Black in their head, because that's not who benefited the most. It's up to us to throw it back every time they put it out there. You benefited more than I did. We're number 5 on the list. We down here. They came to us after they came through 4 other things.
That's right.
We weren't on the top of the list. We may have fought for it. We may have pushed for the legislation, and that's why it got there. We fought and died for it, but you benefited from it more than we did. And I think they need to be reminded of that. I don't know what else they're doing in colleges and universities out there, but hey, when I went to everywhere I went to, you better believe I let them know I was just as intelligent, if not more than they were.
Well, this is and we're gonna close out with this this one, because this is where it all comes down to, where most everyone's saying here is that until these people in these districts, these red districts, these red states feel the pain, nothing will change. But this is what happened with Mr. Chuck Grassley's Senator Chuck Grassley. He's a Republican in Iowa. Iowa is going through some transformation. I don't know if you guys saw the Iowa turnout for Bernie Sanders and AOC. They were out there by the thousands, and I mean like 40,000 people. There ain't that many people in Ohio, and they all came out for Bernie and AOC. It was packed beyond, it was just, you couldn't believe this was Iowa in a non-Republican, non-Trump event. But anyway, these are the people that are also from Iowa, and this is what they have to say.
It faced questions from constituents at a town hall in Fort Madison, Iowa, over the Trump administration mistakenly deporting a Maryland man to a notorious Salvadorian mega prison.
Are you going to bring that guy back from El Salvador? Yeah. Why not?
Well, because that's not a power of Congress.
The Supreme Court said to bring him back.
Judges are, and the president is upholding the Constitution. He's defined the Constitution. You're on the Judiciary Committee.
Trump don't care.
Guatemala is where El Salvador is an independent country. The president
Speak up, please. We can't hear you.
The president of that country is not subject to our U.S. Supreme Court.
We would like to know what you, as the people, the Congress, who are supposed to rein in this dictator, what are you going to do about it? These people have been sentenced to life imprisonment in a foreign country with no due process. Our government cannot do anything. Why won't you do your job, Senator?
Yes. GOP Senator Chuck Grassley.
I love it that these people they're waking up. Some of these people are finally, now the majority still love Trump, and the majority of them still will vote for him again. But there are cracks beginning to form in these places. And we'll close out. Last thoughts? What do you think, Gwendolyn?
Okay, so I don't really see these cracks per se. I don't really see them waking up. I mean, that's just me. I think it's great that they're finally saying something, trying to hold folks accountable, but they would still vote for that guy if they could. So, and if I may just add one little thing here, because I'm going to say it for Jazzy, I am not impressed with what Bernie and AOC is doing. I'm just not. That's that bullshit right there. Okay. That I don't say what you want to say about it. I think it's great they showed up. That does for me absolutely nothing. I need you to get into some shit, get into some trouble, do some stuff, because just showing up and waving your flags and whatnot is like, we have been there and done that. All right, I'm done. And I'm not a hater. And just because you don't agree with somebody does not mean you're a hater. So there's that too.
Elise?
Look, number one, we need term limits on everybody. Because that man, first of all, you stand there and you lie. Those people are, whether they sit in there, all the older people, they're intelligent and they had enough intellect to know that you could do more than you're doing. And so, and they ask them questions. He continues to vote for all of this stuff. And I think we at the point where that people have to decide what kind of good trouble they're gonna get into. And as long as their marches and protests are so calm and the police are out there, it doesn't mean anything. What's gonna impact them is when they start going in there and not just taking the Garcias and Hernandez and all the other people and thinking about homegrown Black people. When they start sending their people down there, snatching them up, then they'll start thinking about it. They right now, they have to feel it.
Yes.
And they are feeling it with tariffs and things with some of them, but they're still saying, you know, like, I'll go back to the guy with the border crossing. You voted for this man, but you forgot who you were. But you voted for him. And so they'll continue to vote. That, like, until something major happens that really impacts them in a big way, they're gonna talk just like those one with the pink pussy hats. They're gonna continue to march and protest, and the majority of those white women still went and voted for this man.
That's right. And Brian, 3 minutes. You got the floor.
Well, I need a whole nother segment to talk about Chuck Grassley. I lived in
just stick with the 3 minutes. What's your final thought?
No, I'm just saying. That my mama raised me right when I had to usher him around the company I was at, because I was in the C-suite. So he met with the leaders. And I was just sitting up here like, yeah. If I may, and you brought this up, I'll reread Martin E. Muller's poem. First, they came for the socialists, and I did not speak out because I was not a socialist. Then they came for the trade unionists, and I did not speak out because I was not a trade unionist. Then they came for the Jews, and I did not speak out because I was not a Jew. Then they came for me, and there was no one left to speak for me. This administration, this regime, this is no longer a slow-moving coup. This is an authoritarian dictatorship regime, and we're only 3 months in. So
not even.
Yeah,
a few days short.
Yes, right. A few days short of 3 months.
We'll talk offline. I had a scare Saturday. Xavier and it didn't dawn on me. I agreed to a friend who's Canadian. His daughter's birthday party was Saturday in Windsor, and we went across and had I won't say a scare, but it held my breath coming back into Detroit, and that gave me just a reality of like, bruh, I had my stuff, I had Xavier stuff, and still we got held up.
Wow.
So
Dr. Tachi?
Yeah.
I move that the South secede from the rest of the Union. I move for the keeping of Charlotte, Houston, and Atlanta, and the rest can go. And Birmingham. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
No.
Any discussion? Motion passes.
I was born in Anniston, Alabama.
Don't even go down there.
Yeah.
Well,
all those people can move to places that will do right.
Well, as we close out, thank you. This was a great conversation, and we wanted to go into. We did talk about Harvard in a way, also, as in, one thing about Harvard, and them standing up against Trump. But again, they have the money to do so. And that's a whole, we can go totally into depth of that. We won't do it today. But I just wanted to acknowledge that they did take a stand when Colombia did not take a stand. But again, Colombia also has the money.
Colombia has the money too.
And yes, they have the money. And so, but they yielded. And yet Howard said, nope, we're not going to do it. Even if, and then it was, and one of the writers that they were like, wait a minute, this man's not going to live forever. We got enough money to outlive. We got enough money. And like someone said to these Ivy League colleges, and to these colleges that have lots of money, like NYU here in New York. And NYU has many pieces of real estate in New York. I mean, NYU has real estate
all around Washington Square, everything.
all around Washington Square, here in Brooklyn, they got real estate. And so one person said, just don't build a building this year or next year. Just simply take that money and spend it on your students.
Right.
So stop trying to get money from the government, and especially in this case with Trump, don't do it. Don't do it. Take a stand for something, because back in the old days, college is where people were able to speak out and have their voices known, whether you liked it or not. They were the ones. Look, the old college students in Kent State some were killed.
They got
for their beliefs.
Yeah.
So
1970.
College used to be a place of expression and sharing your thoughts, whether people agree with you or not, or you happen to be against the flow of the masses. College is a place for thinking. It's supposed to stimulate your thinking, new ideas, a new process. Also connecting with students from all over the country that don't look like you, don't think like you, don't act like you. That's the beauty of the higher educational experience.
Right.
Doesn't make you better because you went there. It just gave you access to all these amazing mindsets, even if they were just as we say, mediocre, or they were advanced and just geniuses. But they're all in one place, and you get to interact with them. That's what makes higher education beautiful. And so on that, I'll close out with that. Is
so Ron, let's remind people that there are a great deal of elections that are going on, local and state elections going on this year, that they need to be a part of, because they keep everything they're looking at is federal. We need to remind people they're local and state.
Local is everything. Local.
Yes, and they need to pay attention to that, because there are thousands of elections out that are happening. You know, what happened in Louisiana when they voted against those amendments, that it's a lot of work to do. Their governors, their mayors, and all kinds of dog catchers out there being elected.
New York City, we got a mayor election coming up.
Well, y'all got issues up there, but anyway. God bless New York.
And since you have the platform,
I hope somebody surprises y'all and come up.
I hope so.
Do a better job.
I don't think Cuomo or Adams is going to win. I don't think either one
should win.
Wait, which Adams?
We won't go there, but at least, I need you to share what you're doing tomorrow evening so that we can support you.
Okay. So tomorrow evening at 7:30, I will be doing an online conversation with the gallery owner, Tanya Whittemire, from Tanya Whittemeyer's Gallery. That's in Brooklyn. We'll be doing an online conversation tomorrow. She's actually like the reigniting my conversations again, and so I officially called them Addicted to Art Conversations.
Mm-hmm.
So that starts tomorrow, and she's been a real she's been encouraging me. I always go up there and we sit down and talk, so she's been really encouraging me in the background, like some of the two women on this page who I know I drive nuts, but anyway, yes, they encourage me. But it'll be tomorrow at 7:30, and I
and where can 7:30 where can they find you?
7:30 p.m. Eastern time on Instagram.
On Instagram, what's your Instagram handle?
SALIEZE _.
There you go. And we'll put that also in the description for this YouTube video as it becomes a regular video. So we'll have that in the description. So guys, thank you. This was a good conversation. Thank you, Brian. Thank you for being back and seeing you on the panel and being part of the discussion. Thank you, Dr. Tachi, for being as I summoned you. and Elise and Gwendolyn, as I send those out invitations. Tomorrow you'll be able to join. We'll have Chris here, and we'll continue the conversation. This conversation will not end, because I do believe that we need to keep it forefront, as in making sure that we think about our due process. And if you don't understand it, go to your Google machine and look and put in due process and the amendments and what they stand for and which amendments they are, and understand your rights. Your rights is what this is all about. Due process. You have the right to be presumed innocent until you are guilty if you have done something wrong.
Right.
But you have rights. Know your rights. You are an American citizen. You have rights, and you do not need to be deported, put into some camp. No, you have rights, and know them. Okay, guys, thank you so much for joining us. And I did not. Oh, did I do any advertising? I'm not going to do the advertisement today. I won't do them today. I want to get you guys.
Did they do the likes and shares? Did they do the likes?
Y'all better hit those likes and shares. But I think they did. I think they were hitting those likes and shares today.
Most people did.
I think they did. I see the numbers are pretty even, so that's good. I mean, people have been hitting them. And so, guys, thank you so much, and I will see you tomorrow. So, good night, good day, and happy hump day. Bye. Hello, and thank you for joining us today. Make sure you hit the like, the subscribe, and leave a comment on this video. I would love to hear from you. Thank you again. Until I see you next time.